What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Tears Take. I'm Tierney, and I upload weekly reality recaps. If you love the Real Housewives as much as I do, then this channel is for you. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you enjoy the content, and that helps to support the channel and send it to other Bravo lovers like yourself. So today I'm recapping the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 6. It's called Peace Interrupted. Now listen, I'm not going to hold you long because I don't think there was a lot going on. I'm just going to go ahead and go through the cast members and what stood out to me throughout the episode. And I hope that you stick around for the ride. So let's go ahead and dive in. Let's start with Miss Peach Juice because, child, this isn't going to take too long. So Porsha, the thing that stood out to me about Porsha this episode is two things. One, she finally dropped her ongoing beef with Drew-ish. We see in the next episode, she's planning a trip and she doesn't invite Drew. So they're not all the way squashed, but she is choosing to not actively have any like bitterness between them. So she's kind of just like letting it be and stepping away. You know, that's not preferred. I think I would prefer for them to really sit and hash it out. But if we can't get that, then I guess this is just a consolation prize of, okay, at least they're going to drop it. I'm sure it's going to come back up again because, like I said, she's going to be excluding her from the trip. And then that's going to probably roll into other things. So I don't think this is going to be the last that we hear about Porsha versus Drew, but one can hope. The other thing that stood out to me is the scene with Porsha and Shamea. So, and it's really, this is actually more on Shamea, but it's Porsha related. Basically, Shamea shared with us that she tends to really like go out of her way to appease Porsha. And she doesn't really do that for anyone else in her life. And, you know, I think we've seen that throughout the years. It's good that Shamea is acknowledging that. And because it seems that she's slowly waking up, I hope that she can confront Porsha to hopefully change the dynamics of the relationship. But that doesn't seem like that's going to happen. We know Porsha's mentality. We know her maturity level. I think she might have a splash of narcissism or maybe some mild form of it. And, you know, whenever someone has those traits, they're not going to really readily take that criticism and like change right away. We know that right now they're not in a cool spot. So, you know, even though it's hopeful that, yeah, they could work things out, it doesn't seem like they are. I think that at this point, Shamea can have her relationship in perspective, and maybe she just has great love and respect for what they had and the history that they have, and maybe just hopefully untether herself from this hold that Porsha has on her. So more to come on that. The other weird thing about Porsha is that she had a little bit of a breakdown at Shamea's house when all of the girls came to just kind of reconvene after the whole Brit, Edie, Kenya debacle. Oh, so Porsha shared that Pilar was asking for Simon, and she texted him like, hey, you know, she's thinking about you, she's asking about you, and he left her on red. I was like, damn, Simon is not playing with you, Porsha. He is not playing with you. And that's sad. But, you know, there were people saying you saw how he treated Fallon's kids after he left Fallon or after Fallon left him, whichever happened. So stop thinking you're the exception to the rule. You saw how he moves, how he treats his ex, how he handles his ex in a breakup, and you readily jumped on board. So, Porsha, that's on you. Be smarter next time. I think that's all I got for Porsha. There really wasn't much about Shamea except, like I said, she talked about her issues with Porsha. She was sharing with, when she had a little bestie date with Porsha, she was just sharing, you know, all of the things that they're going through. And, you know, she has a lot on her plate. One thing that I do like about Shamea is that she really is kind of like the glue of the group. And when something happens, she's usually the one to pull everyone together. We saw that again when everyone met at her house after the Kenya spa party. And then we also saw it at the end of the episode when Shamea was really trying to calm things down when things got escalated. And that's a really good characteristic of her to have. I think it can stem from a multitude of places. I'm not even going to try to speculate right now. Maybe we'll learn more about her upbringing and things like that. But, I think that's like really in her nature to just kind of like calm everything down. And I find myself doing that. I am not a conflict girly. Like I'm very outspoken, but I'm not outspoken, right? And so like I'll say what I think, but like when things get like heightened around me, I am usually the one to be like, okay, like let's breathe, so I'm interested to see more of that and just kind of see like where she's coming from. So since I mentioned the spa party twice already, let's go ahead and just touch on Brit. So I don't have much for her. I don't like her. And I have to be honest, I actually fast forwarded her scenes. I saw people complaining online and they were just like, she is just playing the victim. These scenes are so drawn out that these scenes, feel fake. And I literally cannot with her voice. It wasn't even like the online commentary. I personally cannot listen to her voice. So I think what I'm going to do, as long as I watch Atlanta, I'm going to fast forward through her solo scenes. But she had a few sit downs. She sat down with her mom, and then I think she had to sit down with Kelli. There were a few scenes where she had some like one-on-ones and but like I said, I fast forwarded. I can't. The one thing I did hear, and I think she was with her mom when she said this, was like, the one thing that I did hear is that she mentioned again that like girls just always hated her growing up, and everywhere she goes, like people just hate her. And I'm like, girl, again, as I said in a different video, that's a you problem. Okay. There are plenty of girls who are prettier than you, smarter than you, nicer than you, richer than you. There are hundreds of thousands, if not millions of girls better than you, or could be considered better than you, and don't walk through their lives with hater, this hater and that hater and all these girls hate me. Like that's a you problem. It's that funky ass personality that you have. And you just need to clean that up, because we caught a glimpse later on this episode. Again, you're combative, you're defensive. You just do too much. So like, I'm not a fan. Bravo. I don't know who casted her, but that was a miss. Okay. So Brit had her, crying scenes. Everyone, what was mean? Oh, and the one part that I did listen to, I should say, of Brit was like, I was nervous to tell my mom like the pictures that Kenya showed, but she turned out to be really cool about it. And I was like, of course she was cool about it, because she was cool with her high schooler on men's magazines, and she was cool with her high schooler being a video vixen. So that's not a far stretch to like, that's kind of like on track. That tracks, like that tracks, So I was like, that didn't shock me that she was like, oh yeah, girl, that's okay. So since we already talked about Brit, let's go ahead and just talk about the, big climax of the episode, which was Kelli's peace brunch. So Kelli just wanted to get the women together to really just try to make peace, try to just level everything out, calm everybody down. There's been just, some different pockets of tension throughout the group. They're just getting off of that Kenya Moore, hair spa debacle. And so she just wants to bring them all together. And so everything looked really nice. Ladies arrive, and basically they check in on Brit, and Brit's like annoyed right away because I think somebody mentioned that some of the ladies had an opportunity to talk to Kenya beforehand, and now they're interested in hearing Brit's side. So she immediately was like, "Oh, you talked to Kenya? You heard about you talked to her? She was immediately like kind of on guard and like kind of like defensive, that like, how dare you talk to her without talking to me, or talk to her first before talking to me, because I'm the victim. So she already had a little bit of a chip on her shoulder. And as she's just crying and saying, woe is me, she mentioned something like, I had to deal with this, and I had to tell my mom, and I lost my license, my insurance license. And as she said that, Angela, who I think was this episode's MVP, Angela clocked it and was just like, well, how did that happen? Because I have my insurance license too. And like, how you don't just get fired because of a picture. So like, how did that even happen? And Brit just immediately jumped on her. She was so defensive. She was pretty much like, kind of like, how dare you question me? And like, just cursing, aggressive, read the effing room. I would have been like, bitch, we're outside. And we could stay outside if you know what I mean. But anyway, she was like, just getting hype. It was crazy. And I'm like, girl, you're on the wrong network. So she's just getting so hyped for no reason. She's cursing and she's just like getting all defensive. And she took it from a 0 to 100 for no reason. And so the ladies calmed everybody down. And then Shamea asked the same question, and then Brit walked it back and was like, oh no, I didn't lose my license. I'm under investigation. Girl, you are such a liar. You are such a liar, because had Angela not pressed you, you would have been sitting there dabbing those tears saying, I lost my license. Da, 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 da. So I'm interested to hear more about this, because people are coming out saying there's not even probable, based on just the photos and based on just that event, that's not probable cause to even have an investigation. It has to be something to do with fraud or something like that. It's not a morality problem, because there are plenty of people with their license who do things that have other professions or hobbies that people may deem as distasteful or immoral. But as long as they're in good standing with, with the things that their license is supposed to uphold, they're good to go. So people are saying like, she may have lost her license before, and this seems like a good excuse to say why you don't have it and to pivot, or like there's something else that's going on and you're trying to conflate the two and kind of cover up why you really lost your licenses. I'll listen if I hear more, but I also don't really care. I don't really like Brit. I hope she's a one and done. But like I said, Angela was the MVP because she was clocking it. She was calling it out. And she did a good job of just repeating herself, saying, yeah, but how did we get here? Why did Kenya do what she did? Because like, let's not pretend that Kenya just did this out of nowhere. Do I agree with Kenya? Absolutely not. Would I, would I do something like that at my event or something like that, period? No. But let's not act like that wasn't in response to something. Let's not directly look at Kenya and say, you're wrong, how dare you, and not take a look at what this girl did and said. So I really appreciated that with Angela, and like I said, I enjoyed her this episode. She was funny. I liked her this episode. It was probably because we didn't get any Charles. And, if this Angela keeps showing up, I will like that. So kudos to Angela for a great episode. There was a scene earlier with Drew and Ralph. It wasn't that compelling. I literally just remembered it, and I don't even think it's worth recapping. Basically, she just kind of showed the difficulty with their arrangement. She has to leave the house every first, third, and fifth weekend. Then he emerges from the basement. They're arguing over bills and bringing in lawyers. Well, the lawyer said, you pay it. No, you. So, like, I guess if there are people that are in that situation and can relate, I guess it's helpful to see. I just don't. Drew's not bringing it for me. I don't mind her. I think I would prefer her as a friend because I don't mind. I don't want to say I enjoy her lies, but I enjoy her delusion. And I think she's like, and because of her delusion, it brings like a little bit of comic relief. I think she's so pretty to look at. So like, I wouldn't mind her as a friend because it just seems like her personal story is kind of wrapping up. Like, okay, you're divorced, cool. And what? Like, I don't care. Is that it? I think that's it. Like I said, Kelli hosted the brunch. She had a cute scene with her daughter, but it wasn't really compelling. This episode was kind of a nothing burger. I thought it would have more kind of, more for us to sink our teeth into, but it really wasn't anything. And I think it's because they got rid of Kenya. And had we had Kenya to sit down and talk about it with Cynthia or with Porsha or just like a small group of the ladies to really hear her side, to get a confessional, like that would have helped to round out the episode. I really don't agree with just like cutting her out and pretending she doesn't exist. Maybe we'll find out more information as to why that happened, but I still don't agree that there is a deranged fan on the loose talking about guns and she's okay to just mosey on through the season, and then someone who shows pictures, is treated like she has the plague. And yes, I will say I've heard that there was speculation that maybe some of the pictures were underage. So yes, I get it. And like I said, it's completely wrong. But I would also think that threatening guns is wrong. And just because she didn't have one in her purse doesn't excuse that she threatened a coworker with a gun. Right? Anyway, let me know your thoughts below. I don't want to ramble too much. I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Let me know your thoughts on this episode and like how you're going to handle the rest of the season. Are you going to keep watching? Let me know. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate the time that you took to just sit with me today. Thank you so much for rocking with me. Leave me a message. Please like the video and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.